Hey, if you're ready to transform your life and unleash your inner badass, hit that subscribe button and join our journey to becoming unstoppable. Let's dive in. I wish someone had grabbed me by the shoulders years ago and screamed, "You're wasting your life!" Back then, I was stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, scrolling through social media for 8 hours a day, feeling like I was drowning in comparison. My bank account was a joke, my dreams were buried under a pile of excuses, and I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror without feeling like a failure. That was me at 25, lost, broke, and convinced I'd never amount to anything. And then I stumbled across You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and it was like a lightning bolt to my soul. One line hit me harder than a breakup. You are responsible for what you say and do. You are not responsible for whether or not people freak out about it. That quote ripped through my excuses like a chainsaw. It made me realize I was letting fear of judgment, of failure, of not being good enough run my life. Let me take you back to that low point. I was working a dead-end retail job, barely scraping by on $12 an hour. My evenings were spent binge-watching shows, eating cheap takeout, and refreshing Instagram to see people living lives I could only dream of. I'd post a carefully curated photo, hoping for likes, but inside, I was crumbling. I'd lie awake at night, heart racing, wondering why I felt so empty. My friends were moving forward, getting promotions, traveling, starting businesses, while I was stuck, paralyzed by the fear of failing if I even tried. I remember crying in my car after a shift, thinking, is this it? Is this all my life will ever be? Sincero's book didn't just give me a pep talk, it slapped me awake. She writes, "If you're serious about changing your life, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse." That hit me like a punch to the gut. I was the queen of excuses. I don't have time. I don't have money. I'm not talented enough. But reading those words forced me to confront the truth. I was choosing to stay stuck. I wasn't a victim of circumstance. I was a victim of my own inaction. That realization was both devastating and liberating. Devastating because I had to own my mistakes. Liberating because it meant I had the power to change. So, I started small. I journaled every morning, scribbling down my fears and dreams like Sincero suggested. One day I wrote, "I'm terrified I'll fail if I try to start my own business." Seeing it on paper made it less scary, like exposing a monster under the bed. I began to notice how much time I wasted on my phone, 8 hours a day, sometimes more. I tracked it with an app, and the numbers shocked me. 56 hours a week, nearly a third of my life, gone to mindless scrolling. I was letting algorithms dictate my mood, my self-worth, my entire existence. That's when I knew something had to give. I decided to take control, inspired by Sincero's no-nonsense approach. She says, "You are a badass at making money, even if you don't know it yet." I clung to that idea. I wasn't rich, but I could start acting like someone who believed in their potential. I cut my screen time to 2 hours a day, cold turkey. It wasn't easy. My brain craved the dopamine hit of notifications. But I replaced scrolling with learning. I took a free online course on digital marketing, something I'd always been curious about. I stayed up late, not binge-watching, but studying. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of purpose. That spark turned into a fire. Within 6 months, I landed a freelance gig that paid $1,000 for a single project, more than I made in a month at my retail job. I wasn't rolling in cash, but I was proving to myself that I could do more than just survive. Sincero's words echoed in my head. You are loved, massively, ferociously, unconditionally. I started to believe it, not just about some abstract universe, but about myself. I was worth betting on. My story wasn't over. It was just beginning. But here's the thing. Change isn't a straight line. I still had days where I doubted myself, where I wanted to crawl back into my old habits. I'd stare at my laptop, overwhelmed, thinking, who am I to think I can do this? But every time I faltered, I went back to the book, to the idea that I was enough, right now, flaws and all. That mindset shift, from victim to creator, was the real game changer. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about showing up for myself, even when it was messy. My life isn't a fairy tale now. I'm not a millionaire and I still have bills to pay. But I'm not that girl crying in her car anymore. I've built a side hustle that brings in $3,000 a month. I've read 15 books this year, and I've started running, something I swore I'd never do. Most importantly, I've stopped letting fear call the shots. You Are a Badass didn't give me a magic fix. It gave me permission to believe in myself, and that's where the real transformation began. So there I was, finally believing I could be more than a bystander in my own life. But belief alone doesn't change anything. It's what you do with it that matters. Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass didn't just wake me up, it gave me a roadmap to rewrite my story. Her words, "You are a victim of the rules you live by," haunted me. I realized I'd been living by rules I didn't even choose. Rules like, stay safe, don't dream too big, or you're not good enough. If I wanted a different life, I had to break those rules and build new ones. Here's how I did it, step by step, and how you can too. First, I had to face the mess I'd made of my time. I was spending 56 hours a week on my phone, trapped in a cycle of comparison and distraction. Sincero says, time wasted is life wasted. That hit hard. So step 1, I audited my time like a ruthless accountant. I used an app called Freedom to block social media during work hours. At first, it felt like cutting off my oxygen. I'd reach for my phone out of habit, only to find it locked. But that discomfort was the point. It forced me to sit with my thoughts, to focus. Within a week, I reclaimed 20 hours. That's 20 hours I could spend on something that actually mattered. Step 2 was about rewriting my inner script. Sincero talks about how our thoughts shape our reality. What you focus on, you create more of. My focus had been on my failures, every missed opportunity, every rejection. So I started a daily practice of affirmations, even though it felt cheesy at first. Every morning I'd stand in front of my mirror and say, I am capable of creating a life I love. Sounds silly, right? But after a month, I noticed a shift. I wasn't just saying it, I was starting to believe it. I wrote down 3 things I was proud of every day, even small wins like, I didn't check Instagram for 4 hours. It retrained my brain to see progress instead of perfection. Step 3 was taking action, no matter how small. Sincero's advice, start before you're ready, became my mantra. I didn't have a business degree or a big budget, but I had an internet connection and a willingness to learn. I signed up for a free digital marketing course on Coursera. I spent my evenings watching tutorials, taking notes, and practicing. One night, I stayed up until 2 a.m., creating my first social media ad for a local bakery. They paid me $200 for it. It wasn't much, but it was proof I could create value. That one gig led to another, then another, until I was earning $3,000 a month freelancing, something I never thought possible. Step 4 was about protecting my energy. Sincero writes, surround yourself with people who think the way you want to think. I looked at my circle and realized some friends were draining me. They'd scoff at my goals, saying things like, freelancing? That's unstable. So, I set boundaries. I stopped hanging out with people who made me feel small and sought out online communities of entrepreneurs. I joined a Reddit group for freelancers where I found tips, encouragement, and even my first big client. It wasn't about cutting people out. It was about choosing who lifted me up. Finally, step 5. I measured my progress to stay motivated. Sincero emphasizes celebrating wins, no matter how small. I kept a spreadsheet tracking my freelance income, hours spent learning, and books read. In 6 months, I went from earning $0 to $3,000 a month, read 15 books, and ran my first 5K. Seeing those numbers made the abstract idea of change feel real. Before, my life was a blur of Netflix and self-doubt. Now, I had tangible proof I was moving forward. My confidence grew, not because I was suddenly perfect, but because I could see the gap between who I was and who I was becoming. The benefits were undeniable. Cutting my screen time gave me back my focus. I could read a book without checking my phone every 5 minutes. Learning new skills opened doors to opportunities I'd never imagined, like that $1,000 gig that felt like winning the lottery. Surrounding myself with positive people made me feel supported, not judged, and tracking my progress turned my vague dreams into measurable goals. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was building a life I was proud of. But here's the catch. None of this was easy. There were days I wanted to quit, when clients ghosted me or I felt like an imposter. I'd lie awake wondering if I was crazy to think I could change. What kept me going was Sincero's reminder: you are stronger than you think. Every time I doubted myself, I'd revisit my journal, my spreadsheet, or her book. I'd remind myself that progress isn't linear. It's messy, but it's worth it. The moment you realize you're capable of more, there's no going back. You've seen how I went from a life of scrolling and self-doubt to building a side hustle, running a 5K, and actually liking the person I see in the mirror. Jen Sincero's "You Are a Badass" didn't just give me a new mindset. It gave me a life I never thought I deserved. Her words, "You are a masterpiece and a work in progress," simultaneously became my lifeline. They reminded me that I don't have to be perfect to start, but I do have to start to become great. Now, it's your turn to take the leap. If you're ready to stop making excuses and start building a life you're obsessed with, smash that subscribe button and let's keep this journey going together. This isn't about chasing some Instagram perfect life or pretending you've got it all figured out. It's about taking one messy, brave step toward the person you know you can be. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here to tell you that the dream is already inside you. You just have to act on it. Remember how I cut my screen time from 8 hours to 2? That wasn't magic. It was a choice. A choice to stop letting my phone own me and start owning my time. You can make that same choice today, right now. Sincero says, "The only failure is quitting. Everything else is just gathering information." So, what's stopping you? Fear? Doubt? The voice in your head saying you're not enough? That's just noise, and you're stronger than that noise. Here's your call to action. Start today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Pick one thing from my story that resonates with you. Maybe it's tracking your screen time to see where your hours are going. Download an app like Freedom or Moment and face the truth about your habits. Maybe it's writing down one fear that's holding you back, like I did when I admitted I was scared of failing at freelancing. Put it on paper, stare it down, and then do one small thing to prove it wrong. Sign up for a free course on Coursera or Skillshare. There are thousands out there, from coding to photography to writing. Or maybe it's surrounding yourself with people who believe in you. Find a community, online or offline, that pushes you to grow. Reddit, Discord, even a local meetup. There's a tribe out there waiting for you. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait to feel ready. Sincero's words still ring in my ears. You are responsible for what you say and do. That means you're responsible for your growth, your dreams, your life. When I started, I was terrified. I thought, who am I to think I can freelance? I don't have a degree. I don't have connections. But I did it anyway. That first $200 gig turned into $3,000 a month because I kept showing up. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. And every time you take a step, you're telling that scared, doubtful part of you, I've got this. Let's make this real. In the comments below, tell me, what's one thing you're going to do today to start owning your life? Are you going to track your screen time? Sign up for a course? Reach out to someone who inspires you? Maybe you're going to pick up "You Are a Badass" and read it for yourself. Whatever it is, write it down, share it, make it real. And if you're feeling stuck, ask yourself what I asked myself. What would I do if I believed I was a badass? Then go do it. This channel is about real stories, real change, and real people like you taking control of their lives. If you want more stories like this, more steps to break free from fear, and more ways to unleash your inner badass, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You're not just joining a channel. You're joining a movement of people who refuse to settle. I'm here to cheer you on, to remind you that you're not alone, and to show you that every small step counts. So, what's it going to be? How many hours are you spending on your phone each day? What's the one thing you're going to change right now? Drop it in the comments, and let's start this transformation together. You are a badass. Now go act like it.